If you are looking for a motivation to start your work or to start something that you've been putting off for a long time, this is it. Because in today's video, we will discuss about motivation, but not just any kind of motivation. We'll talk about motivation with no excuses. So if you feel like you need some encouragement to start working on yourself, to start working on your goals, whatever it is that you have to do, whatever it is that you want to achieve, then this video is perfect for you. Sit back, relax, grab a snack, and get ready to be motivated. We all know that when it comes to achieving our goals, there is no better time than now. There is no perfect moment that is going to come in the future that says, hey, now's the time to do it. That doesn't exist. If you wait for that perfect time, you're going to be waiting forever because life is never perfect. Life is always going to be messy. There is always going to be something that gets in the way. And yes, that includes your goals. If you have a goal that you want to achieve, then there's going to be things that gets in the way of you achieving that goal. It's part of the process. And if you allow those things to overcome you, then you won't achieve your goal. If you keep making excuses for yourself, then you won't achieve your goal. You have to understand that every single person who has ever achieved anything great, they didn't do it at a perfect moment. They did it when they were struggling, when they had problems to deal with, when they had people depending on them. The difference between you and those successful people is that even though they had all those things, they chose to focus on what they had to do. Instead of focusing on why they can't do it, they focused on how they can do it. You have to make that decision right now. Focus on how you're going to do it, how you're going to achieve your goal, how you're going to start that business, how you've start that project that you've been wanting to do for a long time. Don't think about why you can't do it. Think about how you're going to do it, because when you start thinking about how you're going to do it, you start being creative. Start seeing solutions to problems before they even become problems. Because when you assume that there is a problem that is getting in the way of you and your goal, then that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Your brain starts looking for reasons why that problem is actually a problem. When you assume that something is not going to work, your brain starts looking for reasons why it's not going to work. That is why we have a huge number of things that we want to do but we never do. It's because we start looking for reasons why we couldn't do it instead of looking for ways on how we can do it. So right now, as you are sitting there watching this video, I need you to close your eyes for a second and think about your goals. What is that one thing that you have been wanting to do for a long time? Maybe it's starting a YouTube channel. Maybe it's starting a business. Maybe it's losing weight. Maybe it's gaining muscle. Maybe it's improving your relationship. Whatever that one thing is, I need you to think about it for a second. Close your eyes and ask yourself, how am I going to do it? Don't think about why you can't do it. Don't think about what's stopping you from doing it. Don't think about all the failures that you've had in the past. Don't think about all the times that you've started something and you haven't finished it. Forget about all that. Right now, all you need to be thinking about is how you're going to do it. How are you going to start that business? How are you going to lose weight? How are you going to gain muscle? How are you going to improve your relationship? How are you going to improve your finances? How are you going to become a better version of yourself? That is what you need to be thinking about. When you start thinking about how you're going to do it, then you're going to start coming up with solutions. You're going to start seeing possibilities. You're going to start seeing opportunities. You're going to start seeing that there's so many ways that you can achieve your goal. And that is when you start feeling motivated. That is when you don't need any external sources of motivation. You have internal motivation, or motivated by the vision that you have set in your mind. You are motivated by the goal that you have set in your heart. You have to remember that every single person who has ever achieved anything great in life, they didn't do it because they felt like doing it. They did it because they had no choice. They had no option. They were so desperate to achieve their goal, so desperate to get what they wanted that they didn't care what it took. They didn't make excuses. They found solutions. You have to ask yourself right now, as you are sitting there watching this video, how bad do you want it? Because if you want it bad enough, you're going to do what it takes. You're not going to make excuses. You're going to find solutions. You're going to go out there and you're going to achieve it. Now let me tell you something that is going to sound harsh, but it's the truth. If you don't want to hear the truth, then skip to the next point. If you have made up your mind that you're not going to listen to any excuses, then you're going to listen to this truth. Most of the things that we do in our lives, most of the things that we don't do in our lives, it all comes down to one thing and one thing only: our mindset. That is the only thing that separates successful people from non-successful people. That is the only thing that separates people who achieve their goals from people who do unachieve their goals. You want to achieve your goal, you have to believe that you can achieve your goal. You have to see yourself as a winner. You have to see yourself as someone who has already achieved their goal. This is something that I talked about in my last video, which was 7 Habits of Winners. In that video, I talked about how important it is to believe in yourself. To have that mindset of a winner, you have to start seeing yourself as a winner. And when you start seeing yourself as a winner, then you start acting like a winner. And when you start acting like a winner, then you start achieving things that winners achieve. So if you want to be a winner, then you have to start thinking like a winner. Now, here is another harsh truth. It doesn't matter what has happened in your past. It doesn't matter how much you've failed in the past. It doesn't matter what people have said about you in the past. It doesn't matter what you have done in the past. All that matters is what